This is Merchandise Mart. Transfer to Brown Line trains at Merchandise Mart.
Okay.
Doors closing.
So welcome to the Wisendale Weekly Wrap-Up. This week I have with me another workhorse in the architecture and design industry. Go ahead, you can introduce yourself.
I am Tom Spanier, and I am the
mic.
I am Tom Spanier, and I am the founder and principal of TSZ Design, which is a interior design studio.
Very cool. And you said earlier it was solo, or do you have anybody working with you right now?
No, I'm a private designer right now.
Okay.
Just the way I like it.
Very cool.
Nice and tight.
No one accountable but you, right?
Right. I am looking for another partner, though, another person to bring in my team. But right now, it's just me.
Nice.
Having a lot of fun.
Nice.
Too.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And when did you start that? When did you start?
2009.
2009.
That was a tough time.
Yeah, sounds tough for sure.
Yeah, that wasn't an easy time to start anything.
Yeah.
But the firm I was working for went out of business.
Okay.
So, one day you're at work, the next day,
So they went out of business because of the result of the
because
crash.
clients weren't paying them because of the 2009 economic downturn. And
Wow.
450 person company went down bankrupt overnight.
Wow.
So everybody was laid off. And
Damn.
I was always doing freelance work ever since I graduated from school. From a month out of I graduated from school, I started my first freelance job, and I was always doing freelance. And I was like, you know what? Perfect time to start. To try to start my own thing. Mm-hmm. And that's how it began. And 12 years later,
that's awesome.
I'm still here.
Yeah, there you go. Still kicking. Yeah, I mean, it's there's definitely some similarities from 2009, 2008 to what we're going through right now. I mean, what would you say the biggest difference is?
I would say the biggest difference is just that we're in uncharted territory. We don't know where we're going.
Yeah, we don't.
I mean, this pandemic is just messing everything up.
Yeah.
And especially from, I do commercial and residential work. So the residential is, I think a little less affected.
Okay.
But from a workplace design standpoint, I feel like everything is going to change, and It has been changing. And people who, if you're doing a lot of that type of work, what is that going to look like now?
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine people are going to want bigger offices anymore.
No, absolutely not.
So it's uncharted territory. That's the thing. I mean, we knew in 2009 it would come back eventually. You just had to, stick around and wait it out.
Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, that's the biggest change that I see right now.
Uh-huh.
We don't know where this change is going.
Yeah. And you're saying that your residential clients are still okay, but the commercial side is definitely floundering.
Well, like I said, it's too early to tell, and it's too early to judge. I think that if I base it on the two commercial projects that I have right now, one's flying high. It's under construction, and we're sort of designing. It's kind of a design build situation right now.
Nice.
And it's great. It's a community center in Evanston.
Cool.
And it's going to be a wonderful job. Great clients.
Very cool.
But then I have a big lobby, 3,000 square foot lobby I'm working on right now for actually believe it or not, an architecture and engineering company.
Oh, awesome.
But I used to work at those firms, and I know that renovations to the office are not high priorities in tough times. So we got all the way through the CDs and to the pricing stage and got in the budget, and then COVID happened.
Oh.
So the projects, it's a little bit on, we don't know what's happening with that right now.
Yeah.
I hope it gets built, and I think it will. I just don't know when. So it's kind of on hold.
Yeah. So take us all the way back, but even before COVID. Where'd you go to school? You said you mentioned where was like your education, your kind of work? Your professional experience?
I went to Iowa State University.
Okay.
I studied interior
from
design.
Iowa?
Yeah, no, I'm not from Iowa.
Oh, okay.
I'm from the south suburbs of Chicago.
Gotcha.
But I studied architecture for 1 year in Iowa State. That's actually why I went there. But then I actually didn't get into the program, and I was sort of like, it was a real hard time for me because I always wanted to be an architect and this program, and I didn't have all my back then I was a young kid, and I didn't have all my creative energies flowing in the proper direction. And I noticed they had an interior design program
Yeah.
at the school. And I'm like, what is interior design? I'm like,
Right.
everybody else like, even today it's hard. What is interior design?
Yeah.
And I went, let me check it out. And then I noticed, okay, you still had to have the semester weed out. You'd still get into the program.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, let me try interiors. And it was just like a switch clicked when from like the first day in studio for interior design, it clicked. The creativity, the kind of unleashing of, it was just so differently taught than the architecture program I was in.
Yeah.
And I know that they're different from university to university, but everything just kind of set in place after that. And I got into the program, and everything flourished from them. I just had such a great time doing it.
Yeah.
And still love architecture,
Mm-hmm.
but at that point in my life, though, that's what happened, is I sort of turned a slight direction.
Gotcha.
And that's where I'm at right now.
Nice. Yeah, I initially got my interior design degree at Harrington, and then I was thinking about going to school for architecture, and then the grades just weren't there, and then I'm paying for it again. I was like, fuck, like I can't do this. So I stopped at the interior design degree at Harrington, which shout out to all my Harrington grads, but that's no longer there. So 2009 and then 2012, and then how, like in between them, what were the type of projects, or what do you do as far as creativity in between time now that you're on your own?
Yeah. So could you clarify the question a little bit?
Yeah. So what do you do to get inspiration?
Inspiration. Okay. Honestly, I get inspired by really everything. Like whenever I'm around, like I'm in the showroom now. So you saw me taking pictures.
Yeah.
There was a detail, and I just like the proportions. I'm like, that's a good proportion. Like there's bad proportions and good. So I take a shot. I get inspired just by, I'm always looking around.
Yeah.
Life.
Yep.
And I don't need to travel. I don't need to, I mean, I love traveling, but I don't need to travel to be inspired. I could just be hanging out, doing whatever, but I'm always looking around at the built environment and the natural environment.
Yeah.
And getting inspired. And I think that's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just always looking at things probably other people aren't looking at.
Yeah.
Just because they're not like into design as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I also get inspired by people, like my clients. I think that most designers, architects, when you have a job and you know that first interview, the first kickoff meeting that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and you ask a lot of questions to the client. I mean, honestly, we're asking those clients because we want information, but also we're getting inspired. Like my clients inspire me.
Mm-hmm.
Like what their goals are inspires me. Some of their ideas, they might have a crazy idea, it doesn't work, but like it will inspire me in a different way.
Yeah.
So I think like my clients inspire me, and they have to.
Yeah.
Because it's their space, and it's not just, this isn't just an empty canvas. I'm not just painting art. We're building art
Together.
and it's functional. So you have to work together.
Right. Hey, what are some of the crazy projects or kind of outlandish projects that you want to highlight or anything? Well, first of all, sorry about that, not to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Speaking of the detail, I want to talk about the showroom. Thank you for, give a big shout out over to Brad and the Rooter Group for hosting us in the Stylex showroom here on the 3rd floor and the Merchandise Mart. So I appreciate you opening your doors. I know for all the COVID people out there, it is only Tom and I in this showroom. So just
my mask is over there.
Just clarifying, my mask is over there as well. we're a safe distance away.
We're at safe distance.
Yeah. So any kind of outlandish projects or interesting projects that you can highlight for us?
They're all interesting. I will tell you that I worked for about 8 years for architectural firms for two or three different firms, about three firms, and I had a great time.
Oh, they're all in Chicago?
They're all in Chicago.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. But when I went on my own, I really got the opportunity to fully grow. I mean, I think that's the key word, is I growed, creatively, mentally, maturity, because you got to do everything. But just that's why I'm a big proponent of like boutique firms. I just feel like nothing against larger firms. I love larger firms and I admire, and I'm always loving the work. Yeah. But from a standpoint of a smaller business, you get to put on more hats, and you have to grow quick and you have to grow fast.
Absolutely.
And it's not for everybody.
No,
some people
not.
like being a specializer, but like I'm doing everything. and that it forces you to grow and it forces you to be creative. As far as interesting projects, I think that I do residential and commercial, and residential, there's always interesting requests. And I love it. I had a project once, and he's one of my really good friends. He's one of my first clients, but he challenged me to design a invisible hidden door in his powder room that opened up to the back alley corridor of his coach house. Because when he was living at this coach house, he had to bring groceries in and go a long ways in. And he's like, if this whole wall just opened up into the vestibule to the alley, it wasn't the alley door. There's 2 doors you had to go. But he's like, it would be a straight shot in, Tom. So I designed this. It was on a commercial auto operator, basically behind a picture on a wall, and you would like push in the picture like Batman style. Yeah. And it would hit the button to open the auto operator, and the door would completely open right next to the toilet.
Oh, how cool is that?
And it looked no one knew. And I was like, this is great. Yeah. So I mean, I get a whole lot of interesting challenges from, I think, the residential side. Commercial, yes, sure. I did a project where it was my largest office project. It was 70,000 square feet, and the CEO wanted one room. It was totally ultra modern, and he wanted one room that was kind of an escape. It was like going to a different period of time. He wanted sort of like 18th century Scotland look. And so you're coming. I wasn't trying to do an accent, but he wanted this room where you come in and you're like, where am I? You're being transported into this like 18th century, like Scottish country club feel. And so the room is completely different. And it was just a really amazing feel. And I'm talking like green leather, like pastel colors and plaid wallpaper and heavily thick coffered ceiling. It was, and it was the fan favorite of the contractors. Exactly. They loved it. Completely different than anything else. Yeah.
So when you're saying about wearing multiple hats and obviously you have to grow as a designer, grow as an individual. If you were to go to a firm, what would be a larger firm? Like what would be that role that someone would go into? I mean, because you could do it all, right? You could do some business development. You could do the design direction. You could be technical. I mean, and you don't have to speak for yourself. I'm just saying in general, what do you think someone would go for?
Well, I can't speak for someone else. I could speak for me, and I've had people approach me.
I didn't want you to. No,
it's okay. I love the creativity. Yeah. I mean, for me, like. Everybody, all my clients, they would probably say is Tom's creative, but also he's extremely technical. Like he could pull off anything. He's really technical. Yeah. And that's because whenever I'm designing anything, I think any good designer, any well-rounded designer is when you're even just sketching or drawing, you're thinking about how it's going to be put together. Mm-hmm. How am I going to actually build this? How's this going to be put together? Mm-hmm. You got to put your mindset in the craftsperson's hands. Right. But I like the creative process. I love meeting with clients and getting them excited,
like forward-facing
about my designs. Yeah. The technical side is, to be completely honest, and without sounding like too confident, but I'm really good at the technical side. So that just comes. Like I can detail out pretty much anything that I draw, because when I'm designing it, I kind of know how I'm going to build it. Yeah. And I just have so much experience in it. So like, I don't have a lot of fun doing the construction drawings as much, but they go really fast. Right. Because I'm like, I know how. I just wish I could plug it in my head and get it all done, because I know how it should be built. Mm-hmm. But the creativity, the creative side, the solving problems is fun.
Yeah. And I assume your drawings are very thorough, and I guess this is kind of segueing into like the advocacy of interior designers stamping drawings. And for people who don't know that, can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was the vice president of advocacy for IIDA Illinois chapter for 4 years. My term just actually ended. I did 2 terms, and I just ended it this past this month actually it ended, and I think that
Thank you, congrats.
Thank you very much.
The whole thing.
Thank you. I have a little more time in my hands now, but I'm still involved very deeply. I'm on the committee, and I'm still kind of I'm working with the new VP.
Yeah.
Talking about our goals. But,
which is who?
It's Catherine Tejada.
Okay, I don't know her.
She's with Global Furniture.
Okay.
She's a good personality.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to me. You need a lot of you need some passion. You need to be a little crazy.
Yeah.
To do it.
And who's the president coming in?
President coming in.
Is it Jamie or is it?
It is. Jamie is the president
or Emily
elect. I'm sorry, I can't.
Emily
Emily Sampanato. I believe that's it.
Yeah,
I believe that's it.
Should have her on. Yeah, I did my
Emily. Yes,
I did my 4 years of VP of membership many moons ago. But Dan Bassano,
yeah, he got me into this whole mess. Thanks.
Okay, so
thanks, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah, he did. He did his term, and I see some similarities in you guys for sure as far as the advocacy. But not to cut you off, keep going.
Yeah. So. Yeah, a little bit
Lord.
of a situation there. We'll get through it though. We just stay calm. Does that always happen to me, right? Especially on camera. So, how does advocacy tie in with interior design? Okay, so is that your question?
Yeah. So I wanted to break it down for some of the listeners who don't really know interior design or the practice. I don't want to assume that the millions of fans know what we're talking about. So,
yes.
As far as interior designers wanting to be able to stamp their drawings and how how the AIA and how that differentiates. In order to have construction drawings, in order to have a structure built or an interior built, you need the drawings stamped by an architect, a licensed architect.
In Illinois.
In Illinois, correct. And a lot of designers out there, and I'm taking this over now. A lot of designers have the ability to take the drawings as far as possible, or even further than some architects, let's say, but they can't stamp the drawings for construction. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you can correct me on that.
Yeah. So I'll take this over.
Yeah, let the professional handle it, please.
No, so basically, interior designers, which a lot of the listeners and some may not know, but I always love educating about interior designers. So I'm going to sort of approach this from a standpoint of maybe the listener doesn't know what the education that interior designers have. Interior designers who are registered with the state as a registered interior designer have to go through a rigorous education background to be able to call themselves a registered interior designer. So now I can speak for Illinois. Other states are different, but interior designers who are practicing, who are registered with the state, such as me, go to a 4-year school, which is a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Interior Design, and it's an accredited program, meaning there's a watchdog overseeing the program to make sure that they touch all the health, safety, and welfare standards in the interior design industry.
And how many registered interior designers were in Illinois?
We have about 1,000.
1,000, right? Okay.
We have about 1,000.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are just always surprised to hear all the education interior designers have. We go to a 4-year school. You would want to go to an accredited school, just like any profession. You want it to be accredited, right? Then you have to have 2 years of professional experience working either under a registered interior designer or a licensed architect. And then, so that's 6 years right there before you could even take the exam. Now let's talk about the exam. So you have 6 years of education. Now you got to take the NCIDQ exam, which is a 2-day exam. And it tests only on health, safety, and welfare, and not how beautiful a space looks, which is what everybody equates interior design to, designing pretty spaces. None of that. So, it's always kind of a shock. People, I thought, it's nothing, you're not talking, it's not how pretty your paint colors are. It's nothing about not dealing with drapes. We're talking about real serious issues, exiting, egress, fire codes, ADA, accessibility standards. So you have to go through all this education and money. Think of how expensive college can be for going out of state, right? To take this exam, and then obviously you pass the exam, right? And then you can finally call yourself, you can register with the state as a registered interior designer. And now, if you think about all that education that we have to go through, the 4 years of school, which are programs with all the CIDA accredited interior design programs in the country and Canada, focus on health, safety, and welfare, building codes, accessibility guidelines, sustainability. We're learning that in school, the fundamentals. Then you go and work for a firm and you practice real life under a licensed architect or a registered interior designer. Then you take an exam that only tests you on these items, but yet you want to go on your own and start a business like I did. And then you have a 10,000 square foot office and you know how to design it. You know how to do all the building codes to make it safe, but you still can't stamp it for a building permit. You have to pay an architect, to stamp your drawings. Mm-hmm. So you can't. It's basically like you go through all of this education and all the money to get this degree, but yet the state doesn't allow you to fully work to the extent of your expertise. So there's sort of a preventing you from doing your job. Mm-hmm. So if you can imagine someone preventing you from doing your job when you can do it,
right? It's
frustrating.
Yeah,
it's very frustrating. So, and a lot of this has to do with just, and it's not the public's fault. There's a lot of TV shows, there's a lot of media that shows interior design, and I think a more decorative light.
Yeah,
there's decoration and there's interior design, and I love both. I love decoration. Interior decorators are great. Interior designers are great, and both incorporate a little bit of each other. But mm-hmm. You can't, in Illinois especially, even though you go through all this education, and health, safety, and welfare is at the front of any designer's mind, obviously.
Right.
We're thinking about that. And they're telling you can't do your job. So that is sort of where we're at. And we're trying to educate legislators and educate the public that no, interior designers have the education and the knowledge to design safe spaces for non-structural environments. We're not trying to build buildings. I work with architects all the time. They're doing the building and I'll do the interior. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really how it should be. But you work with your specializers. Yeah.
And when architects hear that, what is their rebuttal and what is their, I mean, I know they do 7 tests or something like that to get there.
Well, I can't speak for the NCARB exam, but I know it is longer than the interior design exam. But I personally think that a 2-day exam, is that test only on health, safety, and welfare.
Yeah.
Is pretty robust.
Yeah.
And like I said, for all the listeners out there, it tests nothing on how beautiful a space is. It's only building codes mm-hmm. and health, safety, welfare, and accessibility and energy codes. So it's all about educating everyone to understand that when they hire a NCIDQ designer, that they've gone through this education that decorators, people who did not go to school for what we do, they mm-hmm. don't have that information. Mm-hmm. And that we have all that knowledge that we apply, that we should be able to take ownership of our projects. And once again, it's not like, we're doing our scope of work, which is the interior non-structural work. If I have a project and I'm doing an interior stairway and I need to cut through a slab to do a 2-story office, I'm going to be hiring a structural engineer.
Right.
As an architect would. Mm-hmm. I'd be hiring a structural engineer. So I would have consultants. Mm-hmm. So like any profession, we know where our scope ends and when we need to bring in somebody mm-hmm. to the team. Mm-hmm. And I work with architects all the time on projects. The client has an interior designer, an architect. I hire and manage mechanical and electrical fire protection engineers mm-hmm. that I bring on, that I fully manage and coordinate all the work with. So I do all that. And that's not just me. It's really all interior designers who who want to kind of who have the education,
Yeah.
who are registered with the state, who want to take things to the next level.
Right.
It's really about allowing the state to allow interior designers to take ownership for their work because we already are trained to do so.
Yeah. And now talking about the interior design, and correct me if I'm wrong, something sunsets in 2021 or 2022?
Correct. I like the word. You were close.
Yeah.
2022.
Okay.
2022. We are sunset our interior design registration title act.
That's
is going to be expiring, and
what does that mean in a nutshell?
It means that the only law. I apologize to the listeners. This is getting a little boring.
No, it's not. I don't.
But the only law that Illinois has is it says that if you pass the NCIDQ, which is our national exam, you can register with the state as a registered interior designer. And what that does is it differentiates you from really a marketing perspective only.
Okay.
That you meet a different level of educational requirements than another interior designer who isn't registered, or somebody who wants to hire a designer with the confidence that they know how to design commercial spaces and they understand building codes.
Okay.
It's another level of technicality, but it does not allow interior designers to stamp their drawings. It doesn't allow really much, but just to differentiate yourself marketing wise. It does allow you to file a lien against someone's personal property if they don't pay you, which was introduced about a year ago.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yeah. Just trying to understand the process. So did the lobbyists, the interior design lobbyists, did they advocate for that to stay into law? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Napkin, please.
Someone's going to have to, you guys are going to have to view this on our YouTube.
Stylex, your table's holding up.
We're going crazy over here.
Your table's holding up great. Can you repeat the question?
Yes. I guess so. In order to put a lien on someone's property if they're not paying you, you said it was introduced about a year or two ago, correct? Yeah. So who introduced that, and the lobby? I guess I want to just get your input on the lobbyists that we have advocating for interior designers' rights. I think that it's different than it's changed a few times since I was on the board, but who is that, and when did that person change? Because I believe you brought the person, the lobbyist, to the Stitch Awards, right?
I brought a legislator.
A legislator
Who I was sort of educating. I wanted to educate a little bit about. I wanted to show them a good time, obviously, but I also wanted to talk to them about what I just talked about. Is that interior designers, it's a far more technical field than most people understand.
Yeah.
That they don't understand, I think, how technical interior design is. And I think that's what our goal is, to talk about the technical aspects of this profession and everything it takes, when you're doing a project. So as far as
did he have a good time at Stitch?
He did.
I mean, it was a great
he did
a great
Time.
event.
No, he had a great time.
What did you think of the event as a whole?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was done the right way this year.
Yeah.
Finally had a catwalk and everything.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you who don't know, IIDA puts on a garment event where different firms around the city partner with a furniture manufacturer, partner with not only a furniture manufacturer, just a manufacturer in general, and they create costumes or dresses to a certain theme or to a certain concept. And this year it was held at Venue 1.
I think Venue, I can't remember. I'm not
whatever the hell.
I forgot the name.
Yeah, it was in the West Loop, but I mean, it was a great time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that legislator, the person you brought was not the actual lobbyist. It was someone.
It was a representative for Illinois.
Gotcha. Okay.
It was not I repeat, it was an Illinois representative. It wasn't a federal rep for Illinois.
Okay. And what are the differences between that?
Well, there's federal, like Dick Durbin.
Okay. Yeah.
Like he's I think he's a senator, right?
Yeah.
Federally. So he's
Gotcha.
a federal senator, but he represents Illinois. But he's also has a seat on the federal side.
Understood.
So, but there's also, for those who don't know, there's a lot of, every state has their own state representatives and state senators.
Gotcha.
And so really we want to be able to be talking to those people, those individuals, because they're making the laws, they're on the committees. But, like anything, it's all about education.
Yeah.
And I always tell, interior designers, you have to talk about what you do to people, because they probably don't have the same view of interiors that you do. And it's okay. It's a relatively new profession. I mean, it really didn't get, in the 70s it started getting organized. Okay. But we have to talk about it. And I think that the message now is to get interior designers to speak about how technical our profession really is, and all the education we have to go to get where we're at, and that we should be able to practice to our full extent.
Absolutely.
Which is really a human right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be able to do what you do.
Sure.
And the public is safe, because we know what we're doing, because we've taken the exams and we have continuing education, and we have the experience, just like any other profession out there. So
in the 4 years that you were on the board, what I don't want to say what advancements, but what happened? I mean, obviously you said the lean. Were you a part of it before?
I was.
Before that happened?
That was largely. I was a part of the conversation, but I wasn't part of the ASID lobbyist who was with we partner up with ASID. IIDA and ASID has really come together, and
Is ASID still around?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah, of course.
For some reason, I thought they disbanded, or they
no.
down.
They're still together.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, they're loud and proud. And
okay.
I've sort of. I think one of the major things that I think that accomplishments that I feel that I did when I was on the board for 4 years was I connected ASID and IIDA on a level, on a state level, where we started to talk more. And we started to realize we all need to come together for a common cause. And before, we weren't necessarily doing that.
Yeah. They
were separated a bit more. And we started doing events together. We started doing Capitol Days together. And I started, meeting ASID president, the president and the people on the board, and we all have the same goal. And if we're going to educate, who better than the two largest interior design organizations, IIDA absolutely. And ASID, to have the same message and to educate, because we can double our efforts.
Absolutely, yeah. And how was Capitol Day? I mean, obviously
this year
April,
it didn't happen. I just did a virtual one. I had some phone call. I just talked on the phone. It was just me talking with legislators. But the previous year, I mean, we had about 60 people come. And it was great. And it was ASID, IIDA Alliance. We're an alliance now. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I'm most proud of. Yeah. We also got the lean. We also have generated more events within IIDA that are advocacy focused. There's so many. Also, the main objective for IIDA right now, Illinois chapter, is advocacy. It's the top priority right now. Education, educating, and advocacy was once something that was barely, it was hard to talk about. It wasn't interesting, but I feel like it's more important now. And I actually did not even. I think maybe my passion might have inspired some people for it. Sure. But the board actually told me that they wanted to make advocacy a high priority. I did not push this on anybody. But the board wanted to go that direction. So now advocacy is a huge priority to what we do, and we're going to be we have more events, advocacy events. And I mean, let's talk about even what advocacy is. What is advocacy? It's basically convincing someone to be for or against a subject that you're passionate about. Yeah. That they may not know nothing of. So it's really up to us to educate and talk to people about why they should care and what interior design is. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about now how COVID kind of disrupted all the interior designers? I mean, there's a lot of people getting let go right now or still being let go. Yes. I think that's interesting, that a lot of, if there's a way to band together or do something to really unite everybody. But what are your thoughts on that?
It's going to be tough. This year it's tough to get anything done now when you can't meet in person. I feel, especially for advocacy.
Yeah.
You have to I feel for advocacy, you have to be in the same room and feel the energy of somebody.
Yeah.
To get interested.
Sure.
So this year, the rest of this year in 2021 is going to be really tough because we don't know where, if we're going to be able to allowed, or, and when there's a second wave of this thing. I don't even know if we're going to be able to have a Capitol Day in person in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So, because if it's still 50 people, the state doesn't even want people in their capital now.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think that everybody's got to just. We're in uncharted waters.
Absolutely.
No one's been through this before, and stay positive. I think having more and more of the virtual gatherings online, they're helpful, but it's just not the same as being in person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just.
Well, I mean, we could switch to a better topic. We can talk about. I don't know if you want to talk about WWF stuff. I don't know. Do we
WWE?
WWE stuff. Tell us about that. Tell me more about that.
Oh man,
is that too far out there?
No, it's okay. It's okay. No, I'm a huge. People, I feel like everybody's always shocked to hear I'm a huge WWE fan.
I love it. I fucking love it. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I went to a Monday Night Raw like a couple years ago or last year. It was great. I was paid way too much for my ticket. I got second row.
Fun.
I was right there. I was on TV.
Hell yeah. Have you been to Mexico City by chance?
What's that? Have I been to Mexico City?
Yeah.
No, I've been to Mexico. I've been to Puerto Vallarta and some other Cancun.
Have you ever seen any of the luchadores or anything like that?
No, but they have those on WWE.
Oh my gosh.
It's a great escape. It's a great escape. And and like interior design, wrestling is largely misunderstood. I feel there's probably a lot of people listening going, "You're crazy," but people, you know what? People like what they like, I guess, right?
Yeah,
that's what makes human beings so interesting.
Absolutely.
And there's a whole creative process to that.
Yeah.
To that, it's an art to that. There's an art to interiors. There's an art to design. Period.
Absolutely.
And I just love the creative process.
Yeah. We went down to Mexico City in October last year. My parents flew my parents in, and we went to one of the wrestling matches down there. And man, oh man, that was such a fun event, dude. I mean, these dudes are jumping off the ceiling, like onto the. It's got to be
one of the most.
It was.
I respect that. I respect it because it's so dangerous.
Right.
That people just take for granted. If you just, your life is in your partner's hands.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
And people don't realize how. Yeah, it's staged, it's scripted, but it hurts. And every move that you do, you can
hurt
lose your life.
Yeah.
If you land the wrong way, it takes a lot of skill.
Yeah. Do they still do like cage matches and shit like that? And like, I'd again totally just asking because I don't know. I'm remembering back from like when I was in grade school.
They do all that. I've only kind of rekindled my interest in this in the past couple of years.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they still do all that.
And then they're still doing all like the ladders and stuff like that too.
Yeah, they do the ladder matches.
Ladder matches.
They do all that.
God damn, it's so good.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm just amazed more people haven't been seriously injured on live TV.
Yeah,
with the things that they do.
Yeah, I mean, sports now are crazy. I don't know how big of a sports fan you are, but I think with the Patrick Mahomes just got a huge contract, NFL football player for all of you that are out there, signed somewhere to a possible of a $503 million for 10 years with like some ridiculous signing bonus.
A couple $100,000. That's all we need.
Yeah,
just a little bit our way.
Absolutely.
We should talk to him and teach him about interior design.
Yeah. Well, Contract Magazine closed down. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
I think they're shuttering, and they're
really,
their last episode.
That's really sad. I really like their
last issue is going to be, I think, either
shocking,
next month.
Actually.
Right?
It's a bit shocking to me,
isn't it? Well, I mean,
they've always been. They've always ever since it was in school. I had their magazines. Whenever I always had a subscription.
Yeah.
I've always they've been a staple in the industry.
Yeah, it's they made some announcement and they sent an e-blast, but I think that's just indicative of the advertisers not spending the money anymore and things slowing down. And I do think that, since you are your own shop and you're doing your own thing, I think you being the advocate for interior design is definitely very strong. It's harder for I guess I shouldn't say it's harder for, but for a D3 or a D2 to kind of be the advocacy chair, but there's just so much more oomph behind what you're saying because you're practicing what you preach, right?
Right. Sort of I'm sort of the non-volunteer face of the advocacy movement, as Dan put it. He's like, you're the face of the movement. I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, yeah, but you are. And I'm like, okay. So 4 years later, or actually that was a long time ago, but I've come to the realization that someone's got to do it.
Absolutely.
And we have generated a lot of momentum, a lot of positive feedback from especially a lot of the younger designers who are interested. Yeah. Because they're spending, anywhere between $15,000 to $50,000 in your education. And when they realize, a lot of the students don't know that, in a lot of other states too, that if you want to start your own thing, you can't fully practice.
Right.
The state doesn't allow you. You have to pay someone else or hire somebody else to, basically stamp your drawings. And they have a huge problem with that.
Yeah.
For the reasons that I've already mentioned.
Yeah.
And they're very interested in advocacy and being vocal. Mm-hmm. And we're not asking for anything that we shouldn't be asking for. In other words, we're just asking that based on our education, we should be able to do this.
Yeah.
That's what we go to school for. That's what our professional experience that we have, and that's our examination.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. So we just want to, do what we want to do.
Yeah.
That's all. Like any other profession wants to operate.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a huge task, and I believe that someone does have to do it.
But a lot of interest in it. A lot more interest lately in the past couple of years we've generated with advocacy.
And how does it change by state?
It's complicated.
We'll break it down. We got some time.
Yeah, we have. I'll just generically speaking though, there are about, I don't know. I think there's about 6 states: Nevada, Utah, Florida, Texas. There are a few of them. And if you go to the IIDA .org website, you can go to the advocacy tab and learn more. But those states allow an interior designer to stamp drawings for a permit.
What states?
Well, there's a lot. Nevada, Florida.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Alabama, Texas. More and more are slowly coming, but there are some states that do allow.
Gotcha.
For you to practice. But Illinois, it's obviously one of the biggest states. We're still stuck. Yeah. And we're still stuck in the Title Act. So, state by state, some states don't have anything though. So some states are like us, who have our Title Act and Title Act. Once again, what does that do? It just says that you can call yourself a registered interior designer that helps you differentiate yourself as someone who has an increased education on building codes. So, for example, there's a government contract, there's a federal contract. They all pretty much mandate that an NCIDQ designer work on their projects. So if you didn't take the NCIDQ, you're not going to be able to bid that job out. Yeah. Also, if you want to file a lien, if you're not a registered interior designer, Illinois, you can't file a lien. So there's some advantages. Other states have nothing. Nothing. It's not even recognized as a profession.
Wow.
And they're working to just get a Title Act, which we've had since 1990.
Gotcha.
Other states have been through the nothing to the Title Act to the Practice Act. They have the Practice Act. Like I tell you, a Practice Act is what allows you to fully practice your profession to the fullest extent of the law. And that's what we'd like to have in Illinois, because that's what we do. Yeah. That's what we're trained to do. That's all we want to do is do interior design. We're not trying to take any work away from anybody. We just want to practice our own profession. Yeah. That is it. And that's sort of the call. So every state's different, but it's fascinating. California has their own exam for interior design, if you can believe that. It's not the NCIDQ. In California, it's completely different. Really? Amazing. Yeah. Interesting. So, but you learn a lot about being in the position I was in. You learn a lot about the different laws.
Yeah, definitely. I know for what we're doing, partnering up and being more a collaborative design practice, the NCIDQ or the people who are on the team, as well as outside stamping architects who can stamp in multiple states. But the collaboration, I think, is super important. And what do you look for when you're trying to collaborate or when you're reaching out to people?
Personality.
Yeah.
To me, personality is literally everything. Am I going to jive? It's even clients. I mean, you can meet a client and you can tell this client's just not for me, or I'm going to get along great with this client. Sometimes, but I want someone who is going to compliment me. Maybe has some characteristics that I don't have, that they have, that I can learn from them.
Yeah.
I always say, people always say, well, God, if I could just clone myself and, I would do great. Actually, you wouldn't be so great because you wouldn't learn anything.
True.
So I just want someone personality who I can vibe with, who is passionate, who can communicate.
Yeah.
And I think those are all tough things.
Yeah.
You may get a few of those, but I think that the human connection is important, whether virtually or in person, doesn't matter. Just that's really important. You can learn from each other.
Yeah.
And it's not a competition.
Right.
It's just I'm doing what I do best. You're doing what you do best.
Yeah, in your roles.
And I'm working on interdisciplinary teams for 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that's the world we live in. That we have to work together.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's everybody brings a value, and I hate using that value add term, but I know, at least for our team, how we've built it out. Mark Lawrence, he definitely has more of the developer, more of the architectural type built experience, which I don't have. And then Kristen, who is our content lead, she has the written word, copywriting down, and being able to expand and contract depending on the project has been a huge positive for us, depending on the client, right? Although marketing is very loud right now because everybody cares about their web presence and everybody cares about marketing and social media right now, but the architectural is definitely going to be growing with lagging behind just a tad because we are still searching for that work, but everything's really dry out there right now. So it's dire.
It's going to be really interesting to see with the next 6 months how it is.
Yeah.
I feel like there could be a lot of need for smaller offices.
Yeah.
Which is great for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a smaller company and I actually love being a smaller company.
Yeah.
I like being in that standpoint.
Yeah.
I've competed against bigger firms and I've lost and I've won some and it's always fun.
Yeah.
But it's all about some clients just don't care. They just want the right fit. They're looking for the right fit too. Clients
Absolutely.
want someone they could, no one says ever they want to work with someone that's going to cause them problems.
Right. Exactly.
You want a vibe.
Yeah.
You're going to be meeting and talking and you have to, I'm getting ideas from you, the client, and you're getting ideas from me. And not everything I present is going to be great and neither are you. And we come together. Yeah,
absolutely.
To solve a problem.
Right.
Which is really what we do is solve problems. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Interesting. Well, yeah, man. I mean, anything else? Any questions for me? How about that?
Any questions for you? Yeah. Who are you?
Yeah,
what do
right?
you do?
Who am I?
Why am I here? Maybe you could just tell me a little bit about, your decision to sort of go on your own.
I would love to get your insight on that and advice on.
I'm happy. I'm really excited for you. It's not easy. I was sort of pushed into it.
Well,
but I always wanted to. It was like it gave me being, having my company disappear.
Yeah.
Kind of forced me to do it. And I was like, oh, this is great. To finally, try going on my own. But it's tough when you already are working with somebody.
Yeah.
That's a brave move.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to be brave. Yeah.
And my hand was forced as well. I mean, I was laid off, let go. Due to COVID, and I've always toyed with the idea of starting my own shop or getting a small team together, and it sounds weird starting my own shop because it is really a collaborative thing, at least what we're doing. But I feel like the conditions are right, and the mixture of the market conditions with a little bit of coin, and as well as a pool of talent that can allow us to expand and contract depending on the project. It's just that the projects have to come through, and nobody knows really where those projects are going to come. But the advantage for us is that we can handle development all the way to showroom design. So that scale, I think, is super important. That experience and scale is very advantageous for us. But nobody knows what the future is going to hold, like you said, the next 6 months, because nobody's moving, and or not moving in the literal sense, but like nudging. You know, nobody's going back to the office. There's a few people going back to the office this month, but I think all of those people are going to be very reluctant to go back to the office. And I mean, the home office is going to be interesting, because I feel, who knows if these kids are going to go back to school and people are going to have to stay home. I mean, there's a whole market there. So that's why I think you're in a great position too, being residential and commercial, right? Like, you can definitely blur those lines in your experience, for sure.
No, correct. I mean, I think the more experience you have, the more project types, the better. Mm-hmm. And it just sort of proves, doesn't matter if you're one person or 100. Mm-hmm. It allows you to be, you can adapt to the economic climate. Mm-hmm. And then if you do good work, then your name gets spread over the place. So, I mean, it's all about doing good work.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter how big the job is to me. It's never mattered how big the job is. I always want to do a good job. Mm-hmm. And I want the client to recommend me to people, because what good is a job if you go through all that time and energy and life's short?
Yeah, it is.
No one can refer you.
Yeah.
You have to be a good person. Because you got to, so, and I'm never happy unless the client's happy.
Yeah.
I love the status. I love to see smiles. I like to keep people to be to like where the design. Mm-hmm. I feel like it does help the human spirit to be in a nice space.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, man. Thank you for coming on and talking. I was definitely, interested in talking to you. I know we had this on the calendar for a while.
Yeah.
And that was pre-COVID. And now that you're here, I mean, it's great, dude. Where can people follow you or find you? Can you give your website?
Yeah, sure. It's you can follow me from my company website at www.tzsdesign.com. That's T as in Tom, Z as in Zebra, S as in Sam, design.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, TZS Design, LinkedIn, TZS Design, and Facebook, TZS Design.
And what's the Z stand for?
It's my middle name, Zachary.
Zachary.
Came in handy. Finally, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Anything else? Any parting words? You good?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Cheers, dude. Thank you.
Cheers.
Your safety is important. If you observe unattended packages, vandalism, or suspicious activity, inform CTA personnel immediately.